Hello, everyone. What are you doing here? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful that you're here. But you do know you could be cozied up in bed watching YouTube, don't you? But you're not. You made the effort of putting trousers on. I can see you comb your hair, looking good. You braved the weather. It's cold. It's late. What are you doing here? I took a flight to be here. And why is it worth it? Why is it worth us being together? Because there's magic in physical presence. Because we are analog creatures. And there's something irreplaceable happening between us right now. And those who will watch the YouTube video, whenever it's on, they will get a glimpse of it, a reflection, a shadow. But today we're here sharing this moment. As someone who works on AI, I often get asked, what reasons do I find to be hopeful when I get exposed to digital technology? And often my answer is that digital technology emphasizes its own shortcomings. And so it makes salient the importance and the magic of everything that's not digital, and everything that's analog, the world of things that you can touch. But these days, the digital world has a lot better marketing departments than the analog world. And in the digital age, it's very easy to forget why analog matters. In a world in which the stock market is being dominated by big tech, and in which we're being sold the narrative that AI is cutting edge, it's easy to forget that cutting edge just means being a guinea pig, that what's really valuable, what's really the best kind of technology is the tried and tested. And that is the analog world. It is dangerous to forget the primacy and the importance of the analog. Let me tell you a story. Not too long ago, a big company was hacked. They were exposed to ransomware. They couldn't run the company. And this was a larger company, an energy company. Now, in theory, they could run the company on manual, on analog, except they didn't know how to anymore. So what did? They called people who were retired, said, hey, I'm really sorry, I know you're 85 years old and you don't owe us this favor, but could you come back to the office and teach us how to run this thing? Because we don't know how to do it. And what are we going to do when those people are not there anymore? Let me tell you another story. In October 2023, the British Library, one of the great institutions of the country, got hacked. Once again, got exposed to ransomware. And 2 years later, they have not recovered. It's estimated that it'll take about 40% of their finances to recover from this attack. And what's incredible is the following picture. The books are there. The readers are there. The readers want to read the books, but they can't. Why not? Because we lost the map. We made a digital map and we lost it. So it turns out that when you have millions and millions of books, you store them in warehouses that are extremely large. And to be space efficient, you don't store the books according to last name or to subject, but to size. Now, imagine finding a book among millions of books by its size. It's going to take a while. And this is the incredible thing, that we could have run it on manual, but we lost that ability because we forgot how important it is, the analog world, and how much it's tied to reality and how brittle the digital world is. And to make it more extraordinary, if you read the report of what happened and went wrong, the lesson learned for them was that they needed more updated technology. Let me give you another example. A few months ago, there was a major blackout in Spain and Portugal, as I'm sure you remember. Now, who were the people who managed to get a meal at a restaurant that day? Those carrying cash. And what was the technology, the only communication technology that didn't fail? FM radio. Now, today, there are many countries thinking about phasing out FM radio. Why do we need it? Everybody uses the internet. Yes, but the internet is brittle in a way that analog phone lines and radio are not, because they don't depend on power. Whereas in the internet, every node depends on electricity. And you can imagine situations from, for example, suffering a solar storm that causes the national grid to go down, to grimmer situations having to do with geopolitics, in which we will need the analog world. It also happens to be the case that the analog is not only safer and it's more robust, but it's also much more private. If you want to keep something private, have a paper diary. If you want to buy something that nobody can track, use cash. And if you stop using cash, the day that you want to use cash, it'll be gone. And we saw this with Hong Kong, cutting edge technology in Hong Kong, very enthusiastic about technology. And when China strengthened its grip, it was too late. People couldn't buy subway tickets with cash anymore. They were all digital machines. And you saw images of people trying to take down cameras on the street that had facial recognition. And so the analog is the best backup because it ties us to reality. And we forget that when we neglect the analog world, we might lose it. And everything digital depends on the analog. The cloud is not a cloud. It's based on minerals and electricity and stuff. And we learned this with the pandemic. We stopped going to our favorite coffee shop, and when we went back to it, it was gone. Everything that truly matters is analog. You are analog. Your body is analog. There's no virtual water. There's no virtual food. And when you think about housing, it's not made out of pixels. Our personal relationships, the natural world, everything that we depend on, everything that matters most to our well-being and our sustenance is analog. And it's not only that the analog is safer and more private, it's also that when we surrender to the digital, we are losing beauty and pleasure and well-being. There is nothing digital that compares to the warm and the crisp sound of an LP. There's no image that is as rich as to not pixelate, no matter how close you are, like a print. And we're in Geneva. If you're going to buy a beautiful watch, is it going to be a digital watch? Yeah. No, it's not a chance. Plato, in ancient Greece, worried about the concept of mimesis, the things that imitate our reality but are not reality itself, the things that create shadows but that obscure the real world. And digital at best is a ghost of the analog, a shadow of it. At worst is a threat to the analog. It's a bad photocopy of the world. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why algorithms show a tendency to decay. Have you noticed how the internet is getting sloppier? How it's harder to find things? Just written a book, and it's been much harder to find the information I wanted than my previous book. And that worries me, because what does it mean for education, for getting informed as citizens? And when we, for example, feed algorithmic content to algorithms, it's like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The more it's distance from the analog, the worse it gets. So what is the upshot? No, I'm not expecting you to throw away your phone, although it wouldn't be the worst idea you've had. But I'm not going to do it, and I don't expect you to do it. The first upshot is that better technology is possible, and we should demand it. We deserve better technology. Unsafe tech that surveils us, that exploits us, is just bad design, and they ought to do better. And good tech is more respectful of the analog and closest to the analog as well. So, for example, it's more private. But the second upshot is to cherish the analog, to appreciate and take care of it. And it doesn't mean not to have the digital, but it means that we need an analog backup to stay safe. It means that we need to cherish the places, our coffee shops, our libraries, our theaters, our schools, our streets, our personal relationships. Your friends are made out of flesh and blood. They're not chatbots. It means that we should also savor the analog world. The more we advance in the digital age, the more I think that reading a paper book has gotten to be one of the most rebellious acts you can possibly do. When you're reading a paper book, the digital cannot touch you. It's not surveilling you. It doesn't know what you're reading or how fast you're reading or what you're highlighting, what you're thinking, what you're sharing. It doesn't scream at you with notifications. It doesn't distract you. It asks nothing of you. A paper book is a friend, a true friend, in a way that an ebook can only be a false friend. And the paper book is such good design. It's such brilliant design that the ebook is based on it, from the shape it has to the kind of gestures you need to pass a page that's not really a page. And that just tells you that that is a photocopy of the real thing. And we would do well to go back to the real thing. So the upshot is to cherish and savor the analog, to take care of the people around you and the beautiful things that we can build and the places where culture lives, like this theater and like this moment. Because life is not digital. The good life is everywhere where analog can be found. Thank you so much.